to eat and drink, and that you enjoy yourselves. This year's Peace Prize honors women's influence in peace building and the importance of fundamental human rights and equal participation in all aspects, also for building peace and democracy. And that is why the Equality and Anti-Discrimination Ombud has invited you all to celebrate today. We are so happy having you all here on this wet winter morning for a peaceful and engaging breakfast. We have invited several people wanting to celebrate and pay tribute to not only the Peace Prize laureates, but to all women in the joint struggle for a peaceful world. And we also want to give a warm welcome to the delegation coming all the way from Haiti. First of all, the Ombud herself, Sunniva Ørstavik, will welcome you all. Please, Sunniva, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Dear friends, Minister, Madam Vice President of Parliament, members of Parliament, guests, colleagues, a very warm welcome to this celebration of the Nobel Peace Prize Award. An especially warm welcome to Madame Bachelet, the Executive Director of UN Women. We are so honored and pleased to have you with us here on this occasion. We are here to celebrate three brave women: Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, Lema Gbowee, and Tawakkol Karman. The Peace Prize laureates are women who, in different ways, struggle for women's security and their right to participate. The way I see it, they receive this prize not only on behalf of themselves, but on behalf of millions of women around the world who struggle against oppression and strive for human rights. Ellen Johnson Sirleaf is Africa's first elected woman president. She is committed to securing peace in Liberia and to giving real power and influence to women. Lema Gbowee is an activist who mobilized thousands of women to end the civil war in Liberia and succeeded. Tawakkol Karman has played a leading part in the struggle for women's rights and for democracy and peace in Yemen. This year's Nobel Peace Prize shows that the international community sees the connection between women's influence, democracy, and peace building. Torbjørn Jagland, chair of the Nobel Committee, said it so well. We cannot achieve democracy and lasting peace in the world unless women obtain the same opportunities as men to influence developments at all levels of society. We present here today, I have to say it again because it's important. We have known this for a long time. Now the rest of the world will see. Let's celebrate and welcome.
I don't think I'm wrong to claim that this year's Peace Prize means something very special to the next speaker. Being the Minister of Children, Equality and Inclusion Affairs in Norway. And women's rights is, in all levels in Norwegian politics, is one of the major issues for your department, for your ministry. Please welcome Audun Lysbakken.
Thank you very much. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, Madam Bachelet. We are gathered here today to celebrate the three prominent women who are awarded this year's Nobel Peace Prize. Through these awards, their non-violent struggle for the safety of women and for women's rights to full participation in peace building has been recognized as the most important effort for peace. These women are, as you all know, President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf of Liberia, Leymah Gbowee, a leading peace activist also from Liberia, and Tawakkol Karman, a journalist and politician from Yemen. Norway is often seen as a country with a high level of gender equality. However, we who are gathered here today, we know that we still have our shortcomings, and that many of you are committed to doing something about that. We have shortcomings when it comes to leadership positions in the private sector and in the upper echelons of our academic sector. We still have a gender-based pay gap per hour for work of equal rate and equal value. And we still need to fight gender-based violence in close relations in Norway. As Minister of Gender Equality, my main concern is to ensure that women have the same opportunities as men in this country and abroad. The formal rights are in place in Norway today, since many years. And thus I'm very impressed by the prize winners' fruitful work on improving women's situation in their home countries. These women are a tremendous inspiration to us in Norway and to everyone concerned with gender equality issues. I would say that their work is a beacon of hope for global development. There is today a growing recognition of the need for a gender-sensitive approach to peacekeeping and peace building, and in fact to all sorts of societal development. Nevertheless, more than 10 years after the adoption of the Security Council Resolution 1325, the realm of hard politics is far from being gender-sensitive. Still, I think it's right to say that the 1325 resolution has influenced our thinking, our norms, and our attitudes in the global community in fundamental ways. And that's part of what we're celebrating today. Promoting women's inclusion in peace and security issues is a priority for our government. And this is why the Cabinet earlier this year launched a new strategic plan on the national implementation of the UN resolutions on women, peace and security. The plan spells out the government's priorities, goals, timeframes, and indicators to measure the development. It pinpoints which ministry is responsible for the follow-up on different activities identified in the plan. And the government will follow the implementation of this very closely. The Norwegian government and our partners in civil society work in joint efforts to ensure that there is a profound gender-balanced output in all peace and security activities where Norway is involved or where we have a say. We think that gender balance will matter in all the challenges we meet and in the way we meet them. So the paramount issue today is, what do these Nobel Peace Prize awards mean for the future? I believe that this year's prize will have a great impact on our further development in many ways. Firstly, the award in itself is a strong momentum for women's empowerment and participation. Secondly, there is no doubt that this year's prize has put women, peace, and security issues back on top of the global agenda. That's important in itself. And thirdly, because our three visitors that are soon to receive their Nobel Peace Prizes stand out as models for women all over the world and will inspire women all over the world. This year's Nobel Peace Prize give hope for a better life, not only for women but also for children and men, because what their stories teach us is that women are key to creating peace and security for all. Norway will certainly follow their future work, support their future efforts when possible in the years to come. But maybe more importantly is that we all can seek inspiration to do more from their examples. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Lisa. A group of parliamentarian women proposed for the 3 laureates of this year's Peace Prize. One of them, Vice President of the Parliament, is here today. Marit, Nybakk, congratulations to you and your group proposing for this year's laureates. We do indeed appreciate that you wanted to share this morning with us. Please, the floor is yours.
Dear friends, there are also another 3 of us here, so 3 of the others are sitting at the neighbouring table. I'd like to start with a reference to the Norwegian non-governmental organisation, Norwegian Students and Academics Assistance Fund. Why do I do that? Because some weeks ago they launched a poster where the main focus is an engaged woman, an engaged female student. Behind her we can trace some very known political dictators. And the text on the poster cries out, "Beware, they are educated, they dispute, they debate, they dissent, and they rise to fight for freedom and peace." This is good symbolism, especially when we see which African, Arabic, Iranian and other dictators she challenges. Today, I and we are very, very proud of having nominated Ellen Johnson Sirleaf and Lima Roberta Gori for the Nobel Peace Prize, together with, there is also a 5th parliamentarian. Women are necessary to establish and work for peace, and also in order to secure democracy and development after a peace agreement. When the Nobel Peace Committee added Yemen's female activist Tawakkol Karman to the list of laureates, it gives a strong and powerful signal to the male elites among the fighters for democracy in the Arab Spring. The girls who stood by your side on the barricades, they have to be included when the new democracy is developed. Beware, because they dispute, they debate, they dissent, they rise to fight for freedom and peace. This is exactly what Security Council Resolution 1325 from October 2000 tells UN member states to do. The main purpose of the resolution is to increase women's participation and influence in the difficult work to prevent, handle and solve conflict. The resolution says that women should be members of bodies where decisions on security matters are taken. Furthermore, women soldiers should be a part in peacekeeping operations. And, very important, women shall take part when the peace is negotiated and built. The resolution also underlines the importance of women's rights among refugees and in war and conflict. And I see this year Nobel Peace Prize as a tribute to 1325. And of course, the prize is very close to Alfred Nobel's will. The 2 Liberian women managed to put an end to the bloody civil war in Liberia, which had implications to neighboring Sierra Leone. Former president of Liberia, the warlord Charles Taylor, was also an active supporter, militarily and economically, to the Revolution United Front in Sierra Leone. We are talking about some of the most bloody and barbaric civil wars seen on the African continent, with the use of child soldiers and the cutting of arms as punishment. Have you seen the film? Blood Diamonds. You know what I'm talking about. This was the hell on earth. The women Ellen Johnson Sirleaf and Lima Roberta Gori put an end to. And Charles Taylor, do you remember, was put on trial for crimes against humanity. Last January, when they started. I had a talk with some other women, and we were discussing that we really need to nominate female candidates for the Nobel Peace Prize in the spirit of 1325. And eventually I chose the 2 Liberian women and contacted colleagues from the other parties in Parliament to join me in the nomination. And Lima Roberta Bowie is a very exciting person to read about. She organized the peace movement who eventually managed to put an end to the Civil War and the presidency of Charles Taylor. In 2002, she organized the Women of Liberia Mass Action for Peace. And what did they manage? They managed, under the leadership of Bowie, to force Charles Taylor to peace negotiations in Accra in Ghana. They lined up in front of the palace, dressed in white, praying to God until they obtained the peace agreement with the slogan, "Pray the devil back to hell." And I believe there is a film about her with that title. Bowie has also been a social worker for the former child soldiers in Charles Taylor's forces. She is today working with 1325 at the Women, Peace and Security Network in Africa. She has received several prizes, including a couple of American prizes. And so Ellen Johnson Sirleaf was elected president as a consequence of the women's organization. Many women all over the world see her as a symbol of the fact that there is a need for women as agents for peace and development. Ellen Johnson Sirleaf has also written a report on women, war and security, based on women in several countries where there is or has been war and conflict. The report was made together with the Finnish Elisabeth. And she has for many years worked in order to make 1325 an active and real tool for peace and development in Africa. 2 great representatives of the new, strong African woman. And Tawakkol Karman from Yemen, the youngest Nobel Peace Laureate ever. The woman who had led the protests against the regime from a camp in the city center. A woman who shows her face in a country where most women have to wear niqab. So finally, dear friends, be aware. They are educated, they protest, and they protest and stand up for peace and development. Thank you.
Thank you. There's no doubt the strong histories behind these 3 women laureates. Madame Michelle Bachelet, the Executive Director of the UN Women, and the first and only female president of Chile, and according to Wikipedia, described as the symbol of the new Chile. Sunniva said in her welcome speech, and I dare repeat it, "We are so honored to have you here today. We know that you have a tight time schedule, and still you wanted to have your breakfast together with us.
Never miss it.
We look forward to hearing your greetings. Please, Madame Bachelet."
Good morning. I am so delighted to be here in the midst of all of you this morning to share the joy, I would say, of the work of millions of women around the world whose resilience and spirited efforts were recognized by the Nobel Peace Committee a couple of months ago. Let me re-echo my delight and congratulations to these 3 outstanding women, this year's Nobel Peace winners. President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf of Liberia, her compatriot Ms. Lima Gawi, and Ms. Tawakkol Karman of Yemen for their commitment to give voice to the voiceless and improving women's lives around the world. I think it's very fitting that this breakfast takes place at this Equality Anti-Discrimination Ombud. So many thanks to you, Ms. Sunniva Ørstavik. And on behalf of UN Women and the women of the world, let me congratulate all of you here. But of course, in particular, I want to acknowledge Minister Audun Lysbakken for your unyielding commitment to women's power. And because we do need not only women fighting for women's rights, but also a lot of more boys and men also fighting with us. Ms. Marit Nybakk, our fantastic Vice President of Parliament, who is representing all this group of parliamentarians who were fundamental in this possible decision. Ms. Vandana Rana, I don't know, it would be good that you can tell everyone, Ms. Vandana, for your achievements in bringing gender equality issues to the Nepal peace and recovery process. But not only in Nepal, her country, but also working on peace and security and training a lot of people elsewhere. Ms. Sanam Anderlini, she's here in the Sanam, for your role in advocating for women's engagement in all aspects of conflict resolution. She's one of the mothers, if I would say, also 1325. Ms. Mavic Cabrera Valesa, where is Mavic? Over there, for reaching out especially to women at the community level. And at last but not the least, Ms. Piedad Cordova. Piedad, I don't see you when you are there. She is. For your work on human rights in Colombia, including securing the release of at least 16 hostages. And of course, all the groups of friends coming from Haiti who are also been working very strongly for women's rights and people's rights. I acknowledge the significant contribution of everyone else here as well, and I want you to know that UN Women is committed to building strong and effective support for women's full engagement in all aspects of conflict prevention, resolution, but also peace building. I would say that the common story of the 2011 Nobel winners, and of course not only of them, but because I think that they represent so many other women who are doing the same things in the world, but also all the peace activists in this room, is rooted in the firm conviction that engaging women in peace-building processes and investing in human lives, and of course in particular women's and girls' lives, is essential for sustainable development and peace. There's no peace without women. And the tragic consequences of war affect women and girls disproportionately, and their suffering is often invisible and almost always neglected. But most of you talk about the spirit of these women. And I think when you see the movie, and you know Lima, and you see that she says, we're not victims, we're fighters. We're people who is able to stand up from the worst conditions and continue fighting for what we believe. And I think that spirit is what all the people here really share. And yet, even though women can be affected disproportionately, as I said, it is among women themselves that we find some of the strongest advocates for peace and drivers of change. And it's that outstanding truth, much more than the horrors of war, that should shock our conscience and spirit and push them in the right direction. In that sense, the Nobel Committee has also injected a dose of encouragement to those who trumpet women's powerful role in conflict prevention and resolution. And for the first time, I think in history, the Nobel Committee also recognized that the United Nations Resolution 1325 on women and peace and security, which was unanimously adopted in the year 2000, last year we celebrated the 10 years. This resolution marked a historic step in the recognition of women's roles and contributions to conflict prevention, resolution, and post-conflict recovery. And yet, because that sounds great, but the problem is we still have a long way to go to be able to really ensure that this is a reality. Because even women are so essential to everything, MDGs, to development, to peace. And when we're talking about conflict and post-conflict countries, women continue to be poorly represented in the forums that make crucial decisions about their own lives. Women represent 1/3 of the winners of the Nobel Peace Prize, but they are less than 3% of signatories of peace treaties. And no woman has ever been appointed chief mediator in UN-sponsored peace talks. Therefore, I would like to use this opportunity to continue, all of us, urging governments around the world and all parties to conflict to ensure women's full participation and equal participation and representation. Not only because it is mandated by Security Council resolution or by the nearly universally ratified Convention for the Elimination of Discrimination Against Women, CEDAW, but also because, and particularly because, the benefits of engaging women in addressing conflict far outweigh the consequences of excluding them. At UN Women, women's leadership in peace and security is one of our main priorities. We are motivated to seize this opportunity and build on this momentum, created by the Nobel Committee and helped by many of you here. So thank you very much, because I think we're really providing a possibility to make this thing visible and to really be able to build on this momentum. So let me just, because what the Nobel Committee was doing also is a powerful message, a powerful call for inclusivity. So let me conclude by reminding us of the committee's statement that, and I will quote, "We cannot achieve democracy and lasting peace in the world unless women obtain the same opportunities men to influence development at all levels of society." And I think today, in a world that's changing so quickly, where there are so many countries that are having processes of transition, it's so important that we all continue pushing so women can also be part of the reshaping of their societies. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Madame Bachelet. Moving your